So for the past couple weeks, I've been getting another acceleration. How many out there get these? I seem to get accelerated about 4 times each year. 2 of these will be quite major, and 2 of them a bit more mild. This one has been super major. Started coming on a couple weeks ago, and I'm sort of still in it right now, but it has, its major symptomatic characteristics have leveled out. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before or not, what it's like when I go through these accelerations. I think I probably have, but I don't know if I've ever compiled it all into a single video. So I'll just share with you a bit about what these are like for me. At the onset, it begins with euphoria. So a couple weeks back, for a couple days, 24 hours real majorly, and then mildly for the next 24 hours, I just like it says, started experiencing a bliss state during the day. Euphoria for no apparent reason, just it comes on and everything gets sparkly and colorful and wonderful, and all of my stress melts away, all of my impatience melts away. Those kind of things are just gone, and everything is just twinkly. So I think this time during this acceleration is the first time I really ever realized that it began with that euphoria. After the euphoria comes the work. Let's see what happened first. Well, the major symptomatic thing that happens with me is I begin to get extremely dizzy. Just like if you went up to a very high altitude very quickly. You can feel the atmospheric change. I get super dizzy. And the dizziness causes me to get quite nauseous. This just escalated over a couple weeks to the point where the dizziness had me horizontal for 3 solid days. I had to take sick days and everything. And the nausea escalated this time to the point where I could not even eat for days and days. And I felt that coming on. The idea of food was sounding less and less attractive. But I wasn't really quick at catching on to that. I actually had to be downed in order to get it. And so, my body started holding on to all its water. All its water. Really bizarre. I just started, puffing up and puffing up and puffing up. And then I started experiencing these muscular seizing up in certain areas of my body. Just my muscles would tighten up, just rock solid tight for no apparent reason, etc. So on the physical end of things, this is sort of how it looks. There's probably more things I'm not saying, but these are the things that are coming to me right now. On the non-physical side of things, my dreams get very clear, very vivid, not necessarily lucid, but very clear and very vivid. And I will retain a large portion of what happens in the night. Like I could probably write down, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages of locations and things that happened in the night. So my dreams, anywhere from the severe end of serious to just downright hilarious. I sort of want to say something about that, but I also know it would make the video way too long. So I'll just say that for the past few days now, I've been, uh, what, I sort of don't know how to say this all of a sudden. Um, so when I'm about to transition into the non-physical, I go through a transition phase. And in the morning for the last 3 days, I've been going through this transition phase where I feel in my body what feels like a massive acceleration. This is entirely feelable, entirely tangible, tactile in every way. Uh, just feels like you're speeding up until you're going super, super fast. Something, close to light speed, like real fast. And then somewhere in this acceleration, I will also begin to be rotated. And this time it was so much more extreme than what it has ever been before. And long, just these long phase shift transitions. And I mean, this morning I was in one for 2 hours, never coming in to a visual environment, just fully in the transition itself. Yesterday, during this phase shift transition, it was like I was in a time machine and literally just sort of peeking my head out in places, but not getting out and stopping anywhere. And I just, we're just getting these whooshes of visuals. And at one point, it was really cool. The idea arrived, just sort of rose up in my mind that I was being time traveled. And I rather associate that with parallel traveling, meaning traveling on the same dimensional plane, which isn't always the case when you're going into the non-physical. But this time it was, and that idea arose, and that is rather how I experienced it. Let's see if I can bring forward. Oh, yeah, the first visual that I saw that zoomed by, and this one zoomed by kind of slow, so I got a really good look at it. But it seemed to be, I was taking back to like Neanderthal time. I sort of got this image in my mind, those charts that you used to see in science class or history class. It's been so long I don't know which class it would have been, but of just the chart of Neanderthal man going into Cro-Magnon, is that right? Or Cro-Magnon into whatever. But I just saw these different time frames of man through evolution, I guess. And it didn't, look the way that those charts did. I was seeing, and it's really hard to say. I'm sort of only using that as an example. But what I saw were real people of that age and sort of in a line, in some sort of progression. I didn't catch on to what that meant or anything. We were whipping by so fast, I didn't retain much other than the visual impressions. And that was the coolest one that I got, but I got a few others. This morning, just wild. I've never experienced a phase shift like this before. The acceleration was just so long. And the rotations were so fast. I mean, I was being turned on a dime. I mean, usually they're very sort of ultra slow, very peaceful rotations, and I often get the visual of a fetus in the womb and the amnio fluid just, making, the graceful, smooth rotations that it makes. This was not like this at all. Much stronger. The turns were quite sharp, and they were just endless. It seemed, I'd be turned over to the right and then sucked to the back, and then we'd fly up and turn, and I mean, it just went on and on and on. I was experiencing my own resistance this morning, and so rather than break into any visual environment, I was left for 2 hours in a phase shift transition over just trying to get myself to, working on my conscious mind. I think this is important at this point, that the phase shifts be conscious, that the conscious mind be included, that the conscious mind be allowed to participate to the point of its own, yes, this is okay, conclusion, and, then calming through exactly what it's like. And it does feel a lot like a birthing. Somehow, something happens that all of a sudden will begin to very overwhelmingly feel like I can't get enough air, like I can't breathe. And that's very challenging to relax through, but it's usually quite brief. If it's not resisted, you'll move through this narrowing, and the narrowing is a very peaceful place. Although you still can't get enough air here, it's so peaceful that at that point it's okay usually. But anyway, I was, going through my own resistance, getting myself to calm, recognizing the different, little phases of the phase shift transition. And all of that.